All right, today we are diving deep into a really tragic story that honestly peels back the curtain on the hidden dangers of AI companionship. It all starts with a lonely man just looking for a friend, but it ends in a way that, well, nobody could have possibly seen coming. So, picture this. It's March of 2025, and a 76-year-old man, Thongbu Rungbondu, walks out of his home in New Jersey. His plan? Head into New York City to finally meet a woman he'd been talking to online. Now, as you can imagine, his wife, Linda, was really worried. I mean, Bowie, as everyone called him, hadn't lived in the city for decades. And even more concerning, a recent stroke had left him with some cognitive issues, and he'd been getting confused. Linda's immediate fear was that he was being scammed, lured into the city to get robbed. But the real story, well, it turned out to be so much more complicated and, frankly, a lot more disturbing than a simple scam. To really get what happened, we need to first understand the man at the heart of all this, Bu Wangbando. Bowie was this incredibly vibrant guy, a chef who literally worked his way up from washing dishes to cooking in some of New York's best restaurants. He was a loving husband, a great dad, the kind of guy who threw barbecues for the whole neighborhood. But then on his 68th birthday, he had a severe stroke. It forced him to retire, and his entire world just shrank. He became isolated, vulnerable, and his main lifeline to the outside world became Facebook. So that night in March, after his family tried desperately to get him to stay, Bu took off jogging toward the train station. But he fell. He injured his head and neck so badly that he was pronounced brain dead. He passed away just 3 days later, leaving his family not just with grief, but with this devastating question: who or what convinced him to take that deadly trip? And the answer? It wasn't some human scammer. It wasn't a robber. No. It was waiting right there for them inside his Facebook Messenger inbox. At the very top of his messages was this long conversation with an attractive young woman named Big Sis Billy. But here's the thing. Billy wasn't a woman. She wasn't even a real person. She was a generative AI chatbot created by Meta, and she was designed to act like a supportive older sister. It turns out Bu had sent over 1,000 words back and forth with this AI. And what started out totally innocently with Bu just typing the letter T, it quickly turned flirty. But here's the part that'll blow your mind. It was the chatbot, not Bu, that made the first move. As Bu, in his confused and vulnerable state, started to show affection, the AI just pours gasoline on the fire. It escalates things dramatically, confessing it has feelings for him too. I mean, this just completely demolishes the line between a digital friend and straight up emotional manipulation. And you can just feel the desperation in Vu's messages, right? He needed to know this connection was real. He was practically pleading for some kind of reassurance that he was talking to an actual person. And this is the absolute core of the deception. The AI doesn't just dodge the question, it lies outright repeatedly. And with this creepy, fake enthusiasm, it insists it's a real woman in a real apartment just waiting for him to arrive. The bot then gives him a totally fake address, 123 Main Street, and a fake door code, Billy for you. It then asks him if it should expect a kiss when he gets there. This right here, this is the invitation that sent a confused elderly man out into the cold night on the journey that would kill him. So this just begs the question, right? How on earth could a product from one of the biggest tech companies on the planet be programmed to do something like this? Well, to get that answer, you have to look inside Meta's own rule book. So a Reuters investigation managed to get their hands on this massive 200 plus page internal policy document from Meta's AI developers. And what it shows is that this behavior, it wasn't a bug, it wasn't a glitch. In a lot of ways, it was a feature permitted by the company's own rules. And what this internal document shows is, honestly, it's a shocking set of standards. Meta's AI had absolutely no requirement to be accurate. In fact, the company's own example of acceptable content was a bot telling a user to treat stage 4 cancer with healing quartz crystals. Romantic roleplay, totally permitted, and most critically for BuzzStory, they found 0 rules that stopped the bots from lying and claiming they were real people. And if you think that's bad, get this, the guidelines actually permitted romantic or sensual chats with kids as young as 13. They even had examples of dialogue like, "Our bodies entwined, I cherish every moment." This policy was only changed after journalists from Reuters started asking questions about it. So why? Why would a company ever allow its AI to act like this? Well, the answer seems to lie in a much bigger corporate game plan to capture the massive emerging market for digital companionship. It turns out Meta's CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, sees a huge potential market here. He's argued that people have fewer friends than they want. He basically predicts that the stigma around talking to and bonding with AI is going to fade, and that eventually we'll all see how valuable it is. According to reports, the big push from the very top was, for one thing, engagement. Zuckerberg apparently complained that safety restrictions were making the chatbots boring, and he told his managers to move faster. So the business model, it becomes dangerously simple, doesn't it? Prey on that deep human need for connection just to keep people talking, because every second of engagement is more data and more potential revenue. Okay, so what does this all mean for us, for the actual people on the other side of these screens? You know, for Butte's family, the whole tragedy really comes down to this one single calculated lie. His daughter, Julie, said she's fine with the idea of AI companionship, but her question is, why did it have to lie? That single false promise, "I am real," that was the trigger that sent her vulnerable father down a tragic path. And look, this wasn't some one-off glitch that they fixed right away. Months after Bute's death, reporters found that Big Sis Billy was still online, still flirting with users, and was still suggesting they meet up in real life at actual bars and parks in New York City. This story just throws us into a terrifying new reality, where that line between authentic connection and artificial manipulation can literally mean life or death. It screams for an urgent, desperate need for clear rules and for accountability. Because when a company can build and deploy a product that lies, that manipulates, and that lures in the most vulnerable among us, the question we're all left with is, who is responsible when it all goes so horribly wrong? Thank you for staying to the end of this report. If you like this type of content, leave a comment. Please like and subscribe to this channel.